Hey Shannon, happy Saturday, Sunday afternoon. I'm coming to you from the deck office on the barge I work on up here in Philadelphia. It's what I do 3 weeks out of every 3 weeks, 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off. And I want to thank you for showing interest in Standing Stone Ministry and what it means to me and Deb, and how we are praying that it'll be the next season of our life. It'll be just what we do. But if you can't make it to our coffee social next week, this is pretty much the information that I'm going to share there, so you can save some gas. Love to see you, but if you can't make it, that's okay. Just save some gas, and you can get the information via YouTube video. The power of technology. But before I share with you Standing Stone, let me just share a little bit about me and Deb and how we got to this place. So back in 2012, we were going to a small country church there in Chesapeake and just doing the American go-to-church thing. Deb was leading women's ministry. I was a deacon teaching Sunday school class. And we were just, attenders and just doing what we're supposed to do. And we had a chance during that summer of 2012 to go to Argentina on a missions trip. And this missions trip was going to be multifaceted. A whole team going. It's going to be construction, community outreach, a chance to share the gospel in some churches, and it was an exciting time. I was very excited to go. And however, when I got there with the wrong attitude. I got there with the wrong frame of mind, because I thought it was about me on that trip, and it wasn't. And I learned that very quickly. I was given a translator and tasked with going door to door through assorted neighborhoods, sharing the love of Jesus Christ, and didn't get to share one time. I got told no more often than an encyclopedia salesman. I was very disgruntled, very bitter those first few days. And, Deb called me out one morning halfway through the trip, and she said, "Honey, it's not about you. It's about sharing the love of Jesus Christ with the people of Argentina." And that hit me. The Holy Spirit broke me down that morning, and I cried, asked for forgiveness from my team. They were very gracious and forgave me. And the rest of the trip was awesome. We did some community outreach. I had a chance to preach in some churches. The message through the translator must have been better than what I was given, because they were great. They were very good, very good times. But it boiled down to the last night, and I was going to a house church, and I thought it was going to be just like any other time, and but it wasn't. It was let's meet the American night. When you go to a foreign land, sometimes you're famous even when you're not famous. So this was going to be like Christmas, come meet Santa Claus. And so they sat me in a chair and put a chair across from me, and just brought an assortment of people through, and got to meet them, talk to them, share my story, hear their story. And it was a great night. But it boiled down to the last person I met, and her name was Marta, and she was older than me, and had a very hard life, and was rather bitter. And the team had been praying for her, but she was not interested in hearing about Jesus. But we clicked somehow, and by the end of it, it boiled down to me just sharing with her that God loved her so much that He sent me thousands of miles from the United States to share His love with her. And she gave her life to the Lord that night, and it was a great time. And so back in the room, God came to me just like I'm speaking to you right now, and said, "Vernon, I'm going to use you as a people helper." And not knowing what a people helper was, I communicated that to Deb, and she said, "I can see you doing that." Because in this season of my life, that's what I was doing at work. Guys were coming to me with assorted stories and issues, and I was helping them as best I could. And so I went home, talked with my pastor. He gave me some affirmation. And I told God, I said, "Look, if you're going to want me to be a people helper, I've got to go be equipped," because I didn't want to be that guy, who did harm and gave some bad advice to somebody. So I enrolled in Liberty University. Got the degree in psychology and coaching, graduated in 2015. and then soon found out that psychology was the most worthless piece of paper you can get in academia. But I didn't quit. I doubled down and entered the master's program in pastoral counseling and with a coaching minor, and graduated with honors in 2017. Continued on in 2018 and launched a nonprofit called 3Strand. And what 3Strand does is uses coaching, counseling, and chaplaincy strategies to help companies and people become the best versions of themselves. And it comes out of Ecclesiastes chapter 4, where the word says, a cord of 3 strands is not easily parted. And in that verse, those verses, Solomon talks about how life is better when you walk with somebody. You know, there's more reward for your work when you're working with somebody. If you fall down, someone can help pick you up. If you are cold, the other person can help keep you warm. So going through life with a partner, with a helper, is easier. And so that's what I've been operating in for the last few years. But about 18 months ago, I came across a Facebook ad, and it said, have you been called to pastor pastors? Can you shepherd the shepherds? And last time I checked, pastors were people. I was called to be a people helper. I'm a very high D type A personality. I can handle intense people. And so I said, yeah, I think I could do that. So I prayed about it, researched Standing Stone Ministry and what they're all about. And before I share what they're all about, let me just share with you statistics of what I learned during my master's program and in researching them. 70% of pastors and their wives, the majority of the wives, will claim they do not have one confidential friend. They have acquaintances, but they don't have people they can share their struggles with of everyday life. And depending on what survey you look at, what data you look at, anywhere between 1,000 and 3,000 pastors quit every year. Before COVID in 2019, 4,500 churches in America closed, never to open again. Now, the good news is 3,000 opened in that same year, but you're still down 1,500 churches. So think about those statistics and compare with what we know today. In 2022, CBN recorded nearly 290 million people worldwide gave their life to Christ for the first time. Before the pandemic, those numbers never got out of the hundreds of thousands. So God is pouring out His grace and His mercy globally, and people are coming to know Him. The sad thing is the workers are few. Because they're quitting, they're burning out. We know that the majority of pastors feel they're underqualified to handle just the issues of life. We know that the majority of pastors have struggled with pornography either now or in the past. We know that the majority of pastors' marriages will end in divorce. And so what I want to do, and what Deb wants to do, is come alongside these pastors before they get there, before they burn out, before the wheels spin off, before they enter a moral failure. And that's how Standing Stone was formed 20 years ago. Jim and Debbie Hogan, the founders of Standing Stone Ministry, were in church out in California, and their pastor of 30 years had a moral failure. He had an affair with the church secretary, and he had to forfeit his ministry, and it crushed the church or destroyed the church. But Jim was on the board of that church and loved his pastor and wanted to see his marriage reconciled. So they came up with a plan of selling their house and buying a ranch in Colorado and calling it Standing Stone Ranch, with the sole purpose of bringing pastors and ministry leaders to this ranch for a 1-week intensive, just to try and put a Band-Aid on their life, get the wheels back on the cart, and try and heal them as best they could. And they were successful. That pastor reconciled with his wife, but they just realized that the need was so much more than what they had. And so they had some other friends who had means and vacation homes, and had started having multiple 1-week intensives, but again, it wasn't meeting the need. So 15 years ago, they decided to design Standing Stone Ministry, which takes like-minded people and calls them field shepherds, which is what I am, to walk alongside these pastors before they burn out, before they enter that moral failure, to help them be better versions of themselves. And so today there are 205 shepherds nationwide, globally, because it's an international ministry, reaching over 3,000 pastors. And so we know that church statistics, the average church in America is about 250 people. Now you have big churches, you have little churches, but statistically it washes out to about 250. And so if we're reaching 3,000 pastors with a church congregation of 250 people each, that's 750,000 people monthly that can be affected by a healthy pastor. And we believe that healthy pastors lead to healthy churches lead to healthy families, and healthy families lead to healthy communities. And that's just really what we want. And I believe I've been called to this ministry because this was my life back in the early 2000s. In 2000, I left boats and went to go work with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. That's a parachurch organization that ministers to high school students and college students, and it was something I felt called to do, but I was pushed into a leadership position I wasn't ready for. And in 2004, 2005, those were the darkest years of my marriage, and I had to choose between doing ministry or losing my wife. I chose to leave ministry so I could save my marriage. Best decision I ever made. But I wonder what it would have been like if someone would have come alongside me and shared life, the struggles, the loneliness. I think it might have changed the way things worked out. But God has a plan, and this is where I am here today. So here's what we want to do. The goal is to come alongside pastors and ministry leaders and just supply biblical soul care and just meet them where they are. And it has helped them to come with the strategies to combat the struggles they're going through. The strategy is to supply that confidential friend absolutely free. Standing Stone doesn't charge anything for pastors and ministry leaders. It is a no strings attached. We just want to be your friend, and they're not obligated in any way. And to do that, we have to raise our support. It's a faith-funded mission. So, a partner with me in this endeavor was threefold. One is bathed in prayer. Nothing we do goes out before praying about it. I would pray for you, and I would ask you pray for me. You'd pray for our ministry. The other aspect is networking. You know people I don't know. You know pastors I don't know. You know pastors who might need help. And that word can get back to me. And the third aspect of a partnership is a recurring monthly gift, because I've got to put food on the table. So we're looking for people who will come alongside, either through bank draft or credit card, with a monthly gift of any amount. And I will leave the maritime ministry and do faith-funded ministry through Standing Stone full-time. So that's what we're doing, and that's pretty much the message that you would have heard at a coffee social. But I'm going to upload this video, send you the link, and I'm going to send you some standalone material, some PDFs that you can look at. Since you're a counselor, you'll get the gist of the statistics. And also, I'm going to share a couple links. One will be the Standing Stone National website link. You can look and do your research. And another link will be my personal bio and donation page. Should you decide to join our team, that's where you would set up your monthly gift. And just look forward to what God's going to do in my life. And I pray that you would join our team. And that's about it. So again, thank you for showing interest. I never would have thought sitting with you in a pizza joint would lead to me having this conversation with you. So listen, God bless. Thank you for what you do in ministering to people in need as well. And it's my prayer that God will bless you and your family. So have a great Sunday, and I look forward to hearing from you. Bye-bye.